Okay, greetings and welcome to my Sunday, the 13th of March live stream. Hope you're all doing well this week. Greetings to Susan Byrne, KG and Obrek for commenting in the live chat. Always good to know who's tuning in, so if anyone wants to say something there, it'd be good to know you're watching. Tonight's video we are going to look at are they finally going to admit that they faked the moon landings? The reason I say that is due to a news story that I saw earlier in the week. No, actually I saw it earlier today actually. And it just made me wonder, are we finally going to get an admittance? I know some people, a lot of people fully believe that the moon landings happen. They don't think it would be possible for such a hoax to take place. But I'm of the opinion everything we see on mainstream media is complete nonsense. If anyone's got anything they want us to particularly look at tonight, please leave it in the live chat. Susan Byrne has suggested we look at the fake media output on the war, and Obrecht's mentioned the Saturn moon Mimas. So I'm happy to have a quick look at them. Something actually I will share now. Where's my screen? Right. I happened to get an email from, I got an email from PayPal, not something I use a huge amount. I at first wondered if it was a bit of a scam, but it wasn't. It was legit. Bear with me and you'll see what I'm referring to. My computer's on a bit of a go slow, so please bear with me for a minute. This is kind of war related. An email I got from PayPal saying, we're giving you £5. You can get £5 to send, spend or donate. Offer ends 31st of March. So obviously I claimed it, and I was actually kind of surprised to see it show up in my PayPal account. Anyway, that was Wednesday. What do you think I got the very same day? I'll just show you another email I got from PayPal. And yeah, tell me if there might have been a ulterior motive for them giving me £5. Right. This is what followed the free £5 from PayPal. More than 1 million people have fled their homes to escape the conflict in Ukraine. Basically asking me to donate money to this Ukraine humanitarian appeal. I just thought it was a bit of a coincidence that on the very day that PayPal just happened to gift you a £5, they're then asking for donations. It's almost kind of money laundering in a way, isn't it? Guilt people into thinking that I'm not saying people in Ukraine aren't in a horrible situation. I'm sure they are. I'm sure some people are. But it just sort of I thought it was interesting is that they were almost giving people money in the hope that they would be guilty enough to donate it to this humanitarian appeal. If you do have a PayPal account and you haven't used it for a while, check out your emails because they might well have sent you this. Right. The moon of Saturn, suggested by Obrecht. Let's have a quick look at that one. Oh, don't need that. I'd be interested also to know your views on space travel on the moon. For me, it's got to the point now, anything we see on mainstream media, I'm hugely suspicious of. Right down to the ridiculous pregnancies of celebrities. Anyway, that wasn't. Mimas, right, Saturn, the moon. I mean, so to say I'm not. I'm not a big fan of looking up into the sky, and at night, especially when you get a really clear night. Mimas, pronounced Mimas or Mimas, adjective of right, let me guess. I bet it's named after a Greek god or something, or a Roman god. Is the inner moon of Saturn, the innermost of the major moons, and looks somewhat like a bullseye if viewed from a certain angle. The feature that causes this is a huge 140 kilometre wide 88 mile, get their numbers in, Herschel crater, which is 1/3 the diameter of Mimas. Okay. Yeah, no doubt this is a artist's impression. I bet if you can even see Mimas through a telescope, I'm not sure, maybe you can. I bet it doesn't look anything like that. I mean, what is the distance of satellite of Saturn? I'm curious. Where is it? It's after Jupiter, isn't it? You've got Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, and then you've got Saturn. Yeah, of course, the morning star, all of them named after Roman or Greek gods, I think. Yeah, I'm curious how far away they claim this moon is, and how also is that crater 1/3 the diameter. I mean, 1/3 the diameter would be absolutely, yeah, 1/3 the diameter. Oh, unless diameter is just from here to here. Circumference is all the way round. Radius is from the middle, so I guess diameter is, yeah, as you see it. Let's see, Mimas through a telescope. Let's see if there's any images of Mimas which wasn't taken by NASA or another space exploration organization. They all look pretty. Yeah, I mean, let's get this straight. There's no way this is a legitimate picture. I'm guessing. The thing is with NASA, they are at least honest enough to say they do use what they call composites, computer-generated images, artist impressions. So let's see what they claim about this. Disclaimer, the material is kept online for historical purposes. It is no longer being updated. Okay. Right, the Cassini spacecraft zooms in on Mimas, pitted by craters and slightly out of round. Cassini image taken during a flyby of Mimas in August 2005 were compiled into a movie showing the moon's battered surface up close. The view shows the Saturn-facing hemisphere of Mimas. North is up and rotated 24 degrees to the left. The moon's night side is dimly lit by Saturn shine, which is sunlight reflected off by the planet. The image was taken in visible light with the Cassini spacecraft narrow angle camera on September 25th. Let's see, an angle. Image scale is 3 kilometers per pixel. Okay, they claim it's a legitimate picture and that they've zoomed in on it. I mean, perhaps that, well, yeah, let's do one more search from Mimas. Yeah, thanks for the suggestion, Obrecht. Maria Ellender, greetings, welcome to the live chat, good to see you. Right, can Mimas be seen from Earth? Let's see, hopefully my computer won't take too long to, oh, just going on about, it was discovered by William Herschel. Apparently he was from Bath, him and his wife, if I'm thinking of the right person. Ground-based astronomers could only see Mimas as little more than a dot until Voyagers 1 and 2 imaged it imaged it. What does that mean? In 1980. So you can't see any more than a dot, basically. The Cassini spacecraft. Have we got any images of that, I wonder? No, we don't have any images of Cassini. Just, oh no, what's this? That is apparently it. I'm guessing. Cassini's sojourn around Saturn. Okay. They love their gold foil, of course. I'm not quite sure how that would stand up to space junk or whatever. Although it doesn't look like we see any images of Cassini in flight. Because these, believe me, are all CGI. I think we know that. I don't think anyone would doubt that. It's got a light on the front of it, though. I'm sure that's of a lot of use. Okay, we will come back to the subject of space travel a little bit later. We will maybe follow up on our live stream from last week. I talked about, let's see, hang on a minute. We'll go to my channel just for a minute. Oh, just while we're on this, if you're not already familiar with my second channel / backup channel, Chronicles of the Unconvinced, the link is in the description to this video. I'm also on BitChute, where I uploaded last week's live stream. Actually, that's the point. We'll have a look at it on there. I'm not going to play it. It was just like my previous video, hit with a copyright strike. Yeah, this was copyright struck. So I did have to trim out some of the video from the Guardian. So if you want to see last week's live stream without all the cuts, if you weren't with us, I will just put it in the live chat right now. Last week's stream uncut. Right. Yeah, I mean things still going on. Constantly hearing about the Ukraine. Every probably second email I get is some sort of people, is an appeal, or it'll be from Twitter telling us how miserable life is for everyone over there, which I don't doubt. I mean, I'm sure things are difficult for people. I don't doubt even bombs are being dropped. Let's just see. Protest at the BAFTAs. Of course, looks like the BAFTAs were taking place tonight. Just Stop Oil campaign has staged noisy protest at BAFTAs. Do you think witches were involved in this one? Oh, BAFTAs. I'm thinking of the Oscars. This is the British equivalent. A Just Stop Oil protest has taken place near the red carpet for the BAFTA Film Awards. Protesters at the Royal Albert Hall in London could be heard chanting "Just Stop Oil" and banging drums while surrounded by police. Those police look absolutely more than happy for these people to do this. They've even set up a gate to stop traffic. So to be honest, they don't even need to sit there, just let the gate stop the traffic and the line of police cars for them. Clearly a, arranged for the camera demonstration. The Great War t-shirts, I bet if you had wanted to join this demonstration, you wouldn't have got anywhere near it. Right, the Great War t-shirts said "Just Stop Oil" and "Just Look Up," promoting a film. Never miss a chance to promote a film, in reference to the 2021 film starring Leonardo DiCaprio, which offers a satirical look at the climate change crisis. I don't know if you ever watched Just Look Up. I know it was on Netflix. In a statement from the group, the 23-year-old Didn't see that one coming. Claudia said, I'm here supporting Just Stop Oil because I'm absolutely terrified about our future. Okay, this hasn't really got any war-related stuff. I was curious though, because I'm sure, no doubt, anyone accepting BAFTA awards would have been mentioning the Ukraine. So yeah, oil's been used obviously for hundreds of years, maybe even longer. Hasn't affected the climate yet. There's nothing wrong with our climate. David, just seen the live chat. Greetings, thanks for joining us tonight. Right. So, yeah, basically a couple of things. This is basically just a promotion for the BAFTA Awards. I mean, how many protests do you think could happen with 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 people where the police would literally cordon off a road just for them? Crazy. Right, what was the other stories? Yeah, I stand by my statement last week that wars are probably just a convenient way for countries to basically rebuild the place if they need new transport, if they need new motorways, new football stadiums, new train lines. Pretend to have a war with another country where all the residents are probably forced from their homes, and anyone that doesn't may well get bombed, who knows. Right, I'm kind of curious to look at these people, these freak shows at the BAFTAs, because I'm curious if any of them made reference. Lashana Lynch. Have we got any opinions on this one? Yeah, is that genuinely meant to be a woman? I'm guessing it's an openly transgender actress, because there's no way anyone would fall for that one, surely. That actually makes Michelle Obama look kind of feminine. Anyway, what are they referring to? Oh, it's just they won this year's BAFTA Awards. Best film, okay. I wonder if they'll make reference of gender neutral awards, that they no longer have Best Actor, Best Actress. Okay, the actress, they got that wrong, surely. Who played MI6 agent Nomi in the latest Bond film, thanked everyone involved in her career. Blah, blah. I'm grateful for working. Okay, no mention of the Ukraine in this story. I'm kind of surprised. The visibly shocked actress said some stories have surprise endings. Will Smith won the leading actor award for his performance in King Richard. Playing. Have you ever seen any of Will Smith's children? Wow. Oh, here we go. Richard playing the father of tennis stars. Right, Will Smith won the leading actor award for his performance in King Richard playing the father of tennis stars Serena and Venus Williams. I mean, this person could easily have been cast as Venus Williams, so they missed a trick there. Another very strong-looking woman and feminine-looking man. My goodness. Wow, check out those shoulders. 3 head widths for a man, 2 head widths for a woman. This is, yeah, that very bizarre person. Australian actor, Rebel Wilson or something. Let's see if I got it right. Host, not hostess. Rebel Wilson arrives at the BAFTAs. Yeah, she is one. I say she in the loosest possible terms. rebel is most certainly a suspect, if you get me drift. RJ, greetings, thanks for joining us. Climate lockdowns next. You couldn't rule it out, RJ. I mean, why? People have shown that they're more than willing to be locked down. So long as you frighten them enough, they'll do anything. They'll go along with absolutely anything. I mean, think, as we were talking about people in the Ukraine, they're currently being forced out of their homes. I say forced, I expect many of them are willingly leaving the country. Let's see. Maria Allender says it's all about the reset. Okay, yeah, I wouldn't doubt that. Susan Byrne, the Ukraine is crucial for the globalist reset. Obrecht, Operation Pied Piper. Not heard of that one. We'll check that out in a minute. And Maria says Benedict Cumberbatch has said he will take in the Ukrainian refugees. Oh, isn't that great? I did hear something ridiculous about the government are offering people £350 to take in refugees. I mean, just a year ago we're being told not to let anyone in our house, and now they're paying us to allow people to come and stay. I'll look at Operation Pied Piper. That's an interesting one. I can't believe they... Oh, here we go. I was going to say, I cannot believe they mentioned this whole story without mentioning Russia. Speaking ahead of this year's 75th British Academy Film Awards, which sees Dune lead the pack with 11 nominations. Dune, I thought that was out like 20 odd years ago. Majumdar condemned the invasion of Russia, adding the Academy would not shy away from world events. Of course not. You promote world events. You are world events. No way you're going to shy away from anything that you're told to talk. Apparently that story was from the Evening Standard. Robin Max, greetings. Thanks for joining us in the live chat. For people in the UK, have any of you completed the online census? The 1A question is, are you trans? That doesn't surprise me. I can't remember what it was now. I took a screenshot of something. It was a question on, I can't remember, some form or another. And it was all the possible genders that you might be. It was absolutely mad. I will say, Robbo, I thought the census was back in 2020. Have they done... Is that the one you're referring to? Right, Operation Pied Piper. We'll have a look at that. Okay, the evacuation of civilians in Britain during World War II. Interesting, of course, if they evacuate people and make sure that they all go down in air raid shelters, then they can bomb the spit out of whatever they want. Everyone's favourite propaganda tool, Wikipedia, is looking at evacuations of Britain, the evacuation of civilians. It was designed to protect people, especially children, from the risks associated with aerial bombings of cities, moving them to areas thought to be less at risk. How would they know what would and would not be at risk unless they had, well, I suppose they say that, I mean, if you think about it, if you really wanted to destroy a country, you destroy their economy, you bomb the farmland where all their exports come from. So moving children to the country maybe wasn't the smartest thing they could have done. Leave this to us, Sonny. You ought to be out of London. Ministry of Health evacuation scheme. Yeah, another example of propaganda. They've got some kid thinking that... Oh, that's not what I meant to do. Yeah, they've got some kid thinking that he needs to help out, get the sandbags going. I mean, in a way, is an evacuation that much different to a lockdown? Is an air raid, isn't like when they used to do air raid warnings where everyone had, no, the Blitz, for example, everyone had to turn their lights out. Imagine that. being told you're not allowed to use power for whatever time of day. Yeah, I would say people are no more controlled than when they're at war, as it were. Look at that, a smoking carriage on the train. How cool. I do actually remember trains where they had smoking carriages. Yeah, I wonder if the people that took in these children had to take any criminal record checks. Cultural impacts. Other evacuations. A second evacuation started during and after the fall of France. 100,000 children were evacuated. Efforts were made to remove the vulnerable from the coastal town. Eastern England facing German-controlled areas. Don't do it, mother. Leave the children where they are. And there's Hitler telling her to take them back to London. Of course, all the stuff we were taught about Adolf Hitler, propaganda again. I remember being told that he was like the master of propaganda and he used it on his people, but to be honest, just looking at this picture, why would Adolf Hitler be telling anyone to send kids back? Evacuee children returning to Southampton from Australia. Wow, that's a trek and a half. Right. Let's see. Also, Benedict Cumberbatch being a nice person and offering to take refugees. I'll just have a look at that now. I do know someone that said, could it become a possibility where people are literally forced to take refugees? If you've got a spare room, could they oh, Benedict, okay. There's something about a joke, hang on, I'm not... Do you want to see the freak show Rebel Wilson tell a joke about Benedict? Come on, let's hear it. Obviously, we're going to have to watch an advert first. That goes without saying. Let's see. Robin Max, no, the census is for the 22nd of March 22. I did not know that. We'll have a look at that in a minute. That video. Oh, yeah, to be honest, I wasn't aware that they were doing another census. Didn't we just have one like a couple of years back? But no, to be honest, I've not signed one. Let's see, David. The Ukraine is a distraction, and I don't think Putin is a madman. He's a player in the WEF's game, same as Zelensky. Yes, of course he is. Puppets, all of them. Robin Max, sorry I've joined late. Just for a change, I've been to the pub. I hope you had a nice time, Robbo. And you haven't joined that late, to be honest. We only started at 10. We did our pre-show from about 10 to 10. We watched an old video of mine. So you haven't missed much. And I will probably, if I do an intermission, I will probably play the video again, or at least part of it. David says, make sure you've got plenty of candles handy. Power cuts on the way. Yeah, I remember we had a power cut probably about 6 months ago. Well, within the last 6 months, I do remember the power went. Actually, it's probably gone twice in the last year. Once was in the daytime, once was on a Friday night. And yeah, you're right. Candles do very much come in handy. Maria, there's been a few power cuts in Essex lately. I've had notifications on my phone from energy companies. Obrecht says, not a single bomb dropped on Big Ben, Buckingham Palace, or the Parliament building. Yeah, what a surprise, eh? Yeah, you're absolutely correct. It was all the houses, wasn't it, that's tended to get like the people's homes. Okay, well, I'll treat you to hear Rebel Wilson's joke. Although it might get removed for copyright, but who knows? Who cares? I can get to trim it out at least. For me, for later, for reasons we won't go into. But Benedict, I made it because I know. Hang on, I think the picture's got stuck. It has. Hopefully it'll play. Here's the BAFTA cake. Oh, wait, oh, sorry, hang on. Is that's just my personal cake. This is, guys, this is... Look at those shoulders. I can't look beyond the shoulders, sorry. Or that big forehead. Just a cake of Benedict Cumberbatch, because I really love him. That was supposed to be for me for later, for reasons we won't go into. But Benedict, I made it because I know you're a vegan, so it's like vegan. And I guess we can just put the 75 to Andy. I mean, it's 20 years of Lord of the Rings as well. Do you want to... My goodness, what a load of crud. And look at that person there. I don't know why. Don't know why they... Yeah, I don't know why they... Right, let's see. The 42-year-old Australian host wowed on the red carpet as she showcased her small waist. What are you on about? There's nothing small about her. Although I think she used to be really overweight, didn't she? But yeah, very, very odd-looking person. Okay, I'd be curious to know what sort of house... oh, there's another one. I'd be curious to know what kind of house Benedict Cumberbatch lives in. Right. David says, let the politicians and celebs take a refugee. I don't want one, can't afford to live here myself. David, you get £350 apparently for letting a refugee come and stay. Let me just see. Government offers £350. Yeah, the United Kingdom government will offer £350 per month to people who provide spare rooms or properties to house the Ukrainian refugees for at least 6 months. Per BBC, both the hosts and refugees will be vetted. You would think so, wouldn't you? You would really hope so. Yeah, loads of stories covering that. I mean, how have the government got 300... Well, I don't... Who knows? I thought they spent all our money on tests and whatnot. Robbo says, maybe others have seen something convincing, but so far after 2 weeks, the Ukraine event appears to be pure theatre, just live every other event that gets 24/7, just like every other event that gets 24/7 coverage. Fair enough, Robbo. To be honest, I've not seen any footage. My opinion of the war generally is, let's see, hang on, generally is that they're just a way to help a country upgrade their infrastructure. But I do know what you mean. Of course it's theatre. Everything they put on the mainstream media is theatre news. Yeah, all it seems to be is people yelling at, criticising Russia, and it seems any Russian person at the moment is to be deeply ashamed of themselves. They would have us believe. Yeah, I mean, once they move all the people out, then they can do whatever they want. I do like the videos where you get people saying about how they're going to join up and fight Putin. I looked at a guy's YouTube channel, James Ellie. He's put some interesting, good videos up of that sort of thing. Right, apparently an American journalist has been killed in Ukraine. Let's see if there's any of the usual telltale things we look out for. Okay, the journalism and media communities mourned the death of American documentarian Brent Renaud on Sunday after he was killed in the fighting in Ukraine. Always journalists. Journalists are always involved in all these stories. Or politicians, of course. Never trust a politician, a journalist, or a newsreader, journalist, same thing. Photos of his passport and his New York Times press pass were also shared, identifying him having worked for the organisation. Are they going to show us any of this? As an award-winning filmmaker, Brent tackled the toughest stories around the world, often alongside his brother Craig. I wonder what he looks like. I bet he looks like... I don't know. I'm not saying it's the same person. I'm just curious. We'll have a look at that one. Images. Okay, that's obviously Craig. Oh, he's a director. I'm guessing this is the brother of this guy. Well, it looks like they're both right, let's see. Time. Okay, apparently his brother was also he's a director, so who knows? In recent weeks, Brent was in the region working on a Time Studios project focused on the global refugee crisis. Of course he was. It is essential that journalists are able to safely cover this ongoing invasion and humanitarian crisis in Ukraine. I see. Okay, yeah, filmmaker, and that's what his brother is as well. Okay, I'm not saying they're the same person. Who knows? Right, get back on having a look at the live chat. We will, after our midway point, we'll be looking at tonight's main subject about the moon landing and an interesting story I saw about that. Maria says, weirdly, like Marina Abramovich, food made like humans. Oh, sorry, I'm with you now. The weird spirit cooking thing where she made it look like. Yeah, I know what you're saying. I'm sure I can't remember where I saw it, but I saw a cake in the shape of like a baby's head, and I remember it looked pretty gruesome, like the thought of cutting into it. But who knows? Yes, I'm with you on that one, Maria. It does. That cake that Rebel Wilson was showing does sort of, does kind of hints at cannibalism. Maria says, couldn't visit friends and family for the past 2 years, but now you can welcome a refugee into your home. Yeah, you're absolutely correct. Right, Susan. The whole world is a shit show and they steal our children under our noses. Yep, very true. Going back to Rebel and what she is, apparently, I saw a video by not a well, I don't believe he's around anymore, Mr. E, and it was talking about how children would be removed from their parents if they blocked their desires to be a trans, for example. So yeah, the government are always looking for vulnerable families, vulnerable people from whom they can take their children off. I mean, it's not to say some social workers, no doubt, have a child's best interest at heart, but Okay, where were we? What were we looking at? Oh yeah, I will quickly share a link to the. Oh no, I've already done that, haven't I? I've already shared a link to my BitChute channel where you can watch last week's stream unedited. Yeah, apparently a lot of the footage that people have been sharing on, I believe it's TikTok, maybe not just TikTok. I've never really gone on TikTok much. But apparently a lot of the videos that come up on here are literally taken from computer games, stuff like that. I don't know how far you would have to search before you find one. Again, like I said, I've never used TikTok. I know a lot of people do. Can you search? But yeah, I would have personally log in. Oh, you have to log in to search on there. Well, I'm not going to do that. Thank you very much. But yeah, what Robin Max was saying, it's all theatre. Yeah, I do fully agree. Right. David says, so true. The war on people's minds. Yeah, you're right. Robbo, I remember a survey from about 2017 which was undertaken on behalf of the recruitment industry for the most untrustworthy professions. Car salesmen were third behind journalists and politicians. Well, what a surprise. Yeah. Also, I mean, car salesman, I would probably trust a car salesman way more than, as it says, journalists or politicians, but even like doctors, police officers, teachers, while some of them may believe they're speaking the truth, well, some teachers, for example, the absolute rubbish they are forced to teach. Okay. I don't know why I'm on Instagram. I think I was going to start looking for fake images of explosions in Russia. I've just come across this guy. I don't know who this is. Jesse Flor. But anyway, look at all this guy's butterflies. MK Ultra much. Either that or he just likes butterflies. Who knows? And he's got a upside down pentagram on his hand. Just a little observation for you all. Right, my goodness. This is what happens on Instagram when I hit the explore button. Yeah, my channel is on. I have got an Instagram account. I've only got one follower though, which I'm not surprised because I'm not very active on there. But if you do want to follow me on Instagram, I mainly post my thumbnails. I'll just put again, this link is in the description. I tell you what I did originally use this Instagram account for, and that was calling out Jake Quickenden. If we go on to my what was it? I think it was notifications. No. Oh, who knows? Maybe it was that one. Nope, that's messages, which I haven't got any. Yeah, it's oh, I don't know. Maybe that is supposed to be my notifications, but for some reason it doesn't want to work. Someone like me picture RJ Wild. That's one of our regular viewers. That's annoying. It doesn't want to work. Never mind. Okay, how are we doing? It's 11:15, right. Robbo says, if you want to laugh, play the last video on Robbo Max 2 channel. It's only about 30 seconds long. It exposes the utter BS that BBC spew out. Robbo, I will take that bet. Oh, don't want to go on that one. Right, I have to go on YouTube. Yeah, Robert, I'm pretty sure I'm subscribed to both your channels. We're about to find out. I used to be, anyway. Didn't you do a live stream the other morning? I saw you were live, but yeah, I think you're having some technical difficulties. Right, Robin Max 2. Let's see, where is that? There we go. Okay, again, Jackanory time. Yeah, I would have seen this, as it shows, and I've even thumbed it up. So, right, hopefully we can hear it. I'll just turn the volume up a minute. Oh, that might be a bit loud. Right, here we go.
I hope everybody's...
Hang on, it's too loud probably. Okay, this is Robin Max. I will put a link in the description after we've played it.
I hope everybody's sitting down comfortably and ready for Jack and Ori time from the BBC News. Listen to this.
One other thing I've heard, you know that we've been sending anti-tank missiles to Ukraine for the last year or so. Well, apparently the Ukrainians have told the Brits that sometimes they shout, "God save the Queen," when they fire those missiles. Wow, okay, Adam, thanks for it.
Yeah, even that newsreader didn't believe that, did she? What an absolute load of trash. The Ukrainians shout "God save the Queen" when they fire the missiles that were donated by Britain. Yeah, good one.
Okay, Adam, thanks for it.
Wow, okay.
Wow! The word was bullshit.
Absolutely correct, Robbo. That is complete bullspit. Right, I'll leave a link to that one. Oh, you've already done it. Fair play. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, I mean, that is typical of the ridiculousness we get on... we get from anything to kind of put them... Yeah, anything to make us feel like any of the patriotic people have some sympathy for Ukraine. It's pretty endless. Yeah, if you weren't here at the beginning of the stream, I will once again show you this very coincidental email I got from PayPal. This was Wednesday morning. Get £5 to send, spend, or donate. Offer ends 31st of March. A couple of hours later, I happened to get this. PayPal again, donate to the Ukraine humanitarian appeal. I wonder how much that money actually goes to the Ukraine, the people that are actually supposed to be receiving it, or how much of it goes to pay for their transport. I would be curious if we go to somewhere like GoFraudMe, for example, how many appeals are set up for the Ukraine. There we go. First one, right at the top. How to help. Donate to the Ukraine relief efforts. Next one down. Help Ukraine. True Russia against the war. Here's another one. Oh, and just going back a bit, they're still thanking this guy. After Jeff was hurt while protecting his friends during the London Bridge terror attacks, donors gave more than $8,000 to thank him for his bravery. Well, doesn't seem that much. No, we can't click on that one. Giving back to a caregiver. What other rubbish do they highlight? I mean, maybe GoFraudMe is a good way to raise money for certain things, but they also use it Oh, Ukraine disaster in Cannes, which isn't far from me. Someone's decided to raise £1,000 because there's a disaster in Ukraine. So how does that work? At least 2 million people have fled their homes, leaving jobs behind. They now face an uncertain future. £30 could provide essential hygiene supplies. 50 could provide blankets. 100 could provide emergency food for 2 families for 1 month. We're running 10 months. Okay, they're doing a run, I see. P.S. I'm not a runner though. Okay. Yeah, things like this are going to be absolutely flooded with this sort of thing. Skate for the Ukraine. Of course, everything can now be done for the Ukraine. I'm John Willis, 42-year-old skateboarder from Chippenham. Like many others in the world, I'm feeling frustrated not being able to help the awful situation between the Ukraine and Russia. Just turn your TV off, mate, you'll feel much better. So many people are heading to the Polish border to escape the ongoing war, leaving their homes, friends and family. The distance from Kiev, the Ukrainian capital, to the Polish border is 372. In order to raise money to help this country, I'm going to travel this distance over 6 days. What a waste of time. On my skateboard. That's almost as pointless as that 90-year-old man that walked up and down his garden 100 times. I mean, how pointless. Couldn't you actually do something practical? Do you want to join me in making a difference? I'm raising the money in aid of the United Kingdom Committee for UNICEF, and every donation will help. Yeah, for some reason, UNICEF, I don't trust them. More information about the committee, blah, blah, blah. It's a registered charity. Alarm bells all going off anytime I see that. You promise to keep your details safe. Yeah, I bet you do. And we'll never swap your information with any other organisation. Oh, sell or swap. Doesn't mean they won't. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. What a waste of time. Skateboarding the distance that the people have to walk to get to the Ukraine border. I think that's crazy. Susan Burns, just subscribe to Robbo. Good for you. David, the young people signing up to fight in Ukraine is more bollocks. Absolutely agree. Susan Byrne, interestingly, the blue and yellow colours have been used in the last 2 years' signage and leaflets re the pandemic. It's on Hugo Talks. Yeah, I'm sure that's not a coincidence. Hang on, just got a cat to want to come through. Yeah, you're right. That is a good point, actually. Right, we are gonna go to our intermission in a minute, and after that we will talk about the main topic of the night, which is I say the main topic, the titled topic about the moon. Yeah, wasn't sure if there was. I mean, again, if anyone has any other suggestions for us to look at, we can still do that. But yeah, I'm curious about the colours of the flag being used. Let's see. I know they use blue a lot. Yeah, okay. Yellow test centre. Yeah, it's a good observation. I won't argue with that one. Okay. Right. I'm curious actually how many of you still see this. Is this still part of everyday life, or is it? Yeah, I mean, how many people are still seeing? Oh, I've just seen this post. Selfish joggers who jog on this block. This is a sign someone put up. Selfish joggers who jog on this block without masks, be warned, we value the lives of the elderly neighbours and will throw stuff on you from our windows. Idiots. Right. So I've got to open another door. 1 second. Oh no. The cat couldn't wait for the intermission, which is coming up in 5 minutes, where we are going to play a... If you were in the pre-show, you would have watched it. It's a video from 2017 I did about communication satellites. To be honest, I'm not sure if we'll watch the entire thing. We might do, but yes, I hope you guys will stick with us. And when we come back, we'll look at a news story I came across. Basically this morning, you might have seen it yourself. Where are we? No, not that one. Oh, not that one. Believe it was this one. NASA is supposedly opening a 50-year-old sample of moon rock. So this is actually on a children's news round. But yeah, we'll look at that when we come back. Yeah, thank you to everyone who's tuned in tonight. Oh, I'll quickly catch up with the live chat, otherwise I'll probably get behind. David, it's all Darren Brown, it's subliminal messaging. Okay. Robbo, after the alleged London Bridge attack, one of the alleged witnesses, who gave 10 different interviews the next day, started a fundraiser for the bar restaurant staff who missed out on wages. And whilst Borough Market was closed, 2 years later, none of the money he raised was passed on to the workers or to the two charities. I kept in touch with both charities and owners of the two bars, so I know it was never passed on. Doesn't surprise me at all. I mean, GoFundMe, for example, is... Well, one GoFundMe thing that really wound me up, and I've covered this guy hundreds of times, so... And that is... Oh, Ashley Kane. And he had a GoFundMe going, it could still be up now actually, where he is raising money to save a baby, which I don't believe ever existed, but or at least not what we saw on TV. And yeah, for months after this baby supposedly, according to the narrative, died, they were still asking people to donate money. They've changed it now. He's got a new thing he's asking. Oh, I don't know. Maybe that's something else actually. The Azalea Foundation. That's it. But I just thought it. Yeah, supposedly a non-profit organisation, basically a tax dodge. Fearless in the fight against children's cancer. Share your stories, and it was all over GoFraudMe. Well, he had a GoFraudMe page, which is probably still going to this day. Let's have a look, actually. We'll just check that out. Yeah, but at the same time, while he's asking people to donate, he's posing with brand spanking new Nike Air trainers, with like flash sports cars, new mountain bikes. He's getting people writing signs in the sky. Absolute rip-off. This guy's a complete joke. Couldn't help but laugh at the funeral of his baby, of course. And yeah, it makes me sick, basically. Yeah, he's always posing with expensive like clothing on a private jet, for example. But please give money to my charity. Typical. Right. Okay, we're going to be back in a few minutes. I'm just going to... Oh. Okay. Right, before we do, I've got a new animation. It would really help the channel and video if you would like this video, subscribe if you're not already, and share it on social media. Or do at least one of those things would be a help. Also, if you would like to support the channel, I am on Patreon, and there's a QR code, or just go to patreon.com/bzines. I'd like to thank Linda Mack, my one and only supporter. Where are we? Okay, I'm going to take 2 minutes then, and when we come back we will talk about the title of this video, which is about the moon rock. Thanks for everyone who's tuned in so far tonight. I will be back in a minute. Okay, the video is about 8 minutes long, so if you need to get yourself a drink, spend a penny, that's what I'm basically doing. Now is the time. Alright, be back in a minute. Hi, this is my video on why I question the whole concept of satellites, particularly communication systems, like I'm covering in this video. Of course, I could well be wrong. Very aware people have opposing opinions on this. You're more than welcome to leave your thoughts in the comments section. Thank you. Walk down most streets in Britain and you'll probably see a common sight on one side of the road or another, a satellite receiver. As far as we know, at least those who have ever given them much thought, this is receiving TV transmitters from a satellite floating above the Earth. Now what an incredible invention, beaming transmissions from one side of the world to the other. Of course, beaming is an interesting choice of words, as it doesn't specify if these radio waves are transmitting or merely reflecting the signal coming their way. At this point, you might be asking yourself, is this a flat Earth video? No. For the purposes of this presentation, when questioning the functionality of a satellite, we're going to assume we live on a spherical ball Earth, as the curve of the Earth is cited as actually being essential for them to even orbit. Now, your next question may be, why would they concoct a story about how TV broadcasts are delivered? As I'm specifically looking at the use of the Astra satellites that Sky Television use here in the UK. And who am I to even question it? Well, I'll answer the latter part of that question and tell you I'm not an electrical science engineer. I'm not a theoretical physicist. I'm not a telecommunications expert. But I am a person with enough common sense to at least query the vague, sometimes contradictory explanations we get for how all that machinery up there works. I also think I know when something doesn't sound right. As for the earlier part of that question, why would they fabricate satellites? That might be a tougher question to ask, but stick with me and see what you think. So let's ask, what do satellite dishes, or parabolic antennae as they're actually called, do? The simple way to answer that is to say they're receivers of radio waves and microwaves, which are actually a type of radio wave, such as the ones we've been broadcasting from one continent to another for the past 100 years or so. Although obviously the frequencies used and the amount of data that can now be transmitted has grown and matured. Just like the huge dishes you see that are not actually beaming out signals as I always assumed, are also receiving radio waves, and they are actually called telescopes, so they are monitoring the heavens in the form of radio waves. The idea that a TV transmitter, some of which are enormous and require their own separate power generators, which output TV, radio and telephone signals in the form of radio waves, could be scaled down to something the size of a truck and run off no obvious power supply is a bit of a head scratcher, especially considering the distances covered. Take the Mendip transmitter near Wells in the UK. Now, this is the tallest structure in the southwest of England and delivers to a large area of the southwest. Now, there are at least 30 more of these transmitters used to distribute digital TV across the UK. However, when satellites are used, they somehow manage to do exactly the same using just 2 or 3. And bear in mind, these orbiting satellites are not even anywhere near the UK. According to a Sky engineer I was talking to recently, the satellite that beams out the signal received by the dishes on people's homes is in a state of freefall above the equator. Now, I struggle to get my head around how it is possible to stay in perfect alignment with stationary dishes that are attached to people's houses. I know you have to be an engineer in science to work out the technicalities of how much force would be needed to maintain the same speed of fall for an infinite amount of time, but we even see these satellites getting launched from space shuttles, or at least that's what the CGI pictures illustrate is happening. And the whole idea of geostationary objects that stay in the same spot relative to the Earth is an example of gravity becoming very selective. Some sources will tell you it is the curve of the Earth that makes this possible, but that doesn't make sense unless gravity's pull is coming from below the Earth, certainly to one side or the other. You also have to ask how a geostationary satellite can be immune from the downward force of gravity. If we explore the origins of satellite communications, we'll see once again science owes a lot to science fiction. Just like the moons of Mars, it was a science fiction writer who first proposed the idea. Arthur C. Clarke in 1945 wrote an essay on the concept of communication satellites, and it took just 12 years for this idea to grow from mere fictitious fantasy to an actual fully working, fully orbiting piece of equipment in the form of Sputnik 1. Well, at least that's according to the news. Since then, the idea has really caught on, and there are now somewhere in the region of 8,000 orbiting satellites being tracked. But for now, for the sake of simplicity, we're just focusing on the ones used to broadcast Sky TV to homes in Britain. These are referred to as Astra 28.2 degrees east. This name comes from the direction these parabolic antennae are required to point in order to receive the signal. But again, this raises questions. Looking at a globe, you can draw a line going north from, say, Tralee in the south of Ireland, and working out the direction of 28 degrees east is a fairly simple process. Then, do the same in Aberdeen, East Scotland, both areas within the footprint of Astra 28.2 degrees east, and it will become clear that 28 degrees east is not the same direction from each location. The lines actually point to a completely different area of the sky. Looking for specifications on the Astra satellite Sky make use of is difficult. Wikipedia seemed to have the most information. I expected there to be pages and pages of specs to read through, but what is offered is minimal. That one of the sites offering information was called Lying Sat didn't go unnoticed either. One question I get asked often when I bring up my suspicions around satellites is, so how do you think your smartphone works? This is usually asked by a person who has no idea how a smartphone works. I can confidently say, having taken apart a few smartphones in my time, that none of them, least of all not one that's ever been commercially released, can connect to a satellite. I would invite anyone who believes otherwise to take apart any smartphone and identify the transmitter inside that can broadcast microwaves in all directions, the required 1,000 miles or so. If you have ever been in a poor 3G signal area, you'll know how quickly a phone battery drains when looking for a nearby mast. Now, you may have sat-nav on your phone, but it is almost backward thinking to believe the only way your position on Earth could be worked out is by relying on floating computers in space. If you're interested to know how navigation services are offered on your phone, look up AGPS or Assisted GPS for some answers. Okay, that video's got about 2 minutes left. I am actually going to upload it to BitChute, so if you do want to see the rest of it, if you didn't catch it in the live, in the pre-show, then you will be able to check it out over on BitChute. The link is in the description. That was the look. I sort of did a bit of research into the origins of GPS satellites. Wasn't particularly convinced with everything I saw, and find it difficult to believe that everything we're told that takes place in outer space could be done so much easier on Earth. And there is always like an alternative. A lot of people will say, well, how do you think the internet works? Well, the internet's got nothing to do with satellites and outer space, believe me. Just like when people say, we've got on the screen here, GPS, it's all based on ground-based cell towers, and none of it, basically no GPS, no phone will connect to a satellite in outer space. Absolutely insane if you believe that to be the case. Things do, actually, I'm not sure if we got to the point in the video, because I will admit I popped out the room. Here we go, yeah. Things do go up attached to balloons. I wouldn't doubt that. Could it be geostationary? Well, what they mean by geostationary is where it's in a fixed point above the Earth. How is that possible if gravity supposedly pulls everything down? Yeah, I'm very suspicious of everything we're told by the mainstream media, whether it's sport, whether it's war, whether it's terror attacks, or whether it's, would you call it geology, I guess? I know a lot of people that, don't accept mainstream media, but once you try and suggest to them that they're also lying about the world where we live, the solar system, etc. Yeah, they won't accept that. But hey, we're all entitled to our opinions, of course. Right, I'm gonna have a look at the live chat. Phil writes, satellites don't exist. Completely agree with you. And cell towers give you GPS. As I said, a lot of people will say that. There is evidence to suggest that there is what they claim is satellites. I don't know what they say. 20 is that 1,000 miles up in the sky? Could be a lot closer on a balloon. Also, there's this thing about bouncing signals off what they call the ionosphere. Could that be some? Is it possible that they can bounce signals and it reflects off of whatever's above us? I would think it would need to be something pretty solid, though. I don't think it could just bounce off of gases. It would have to be, would we say, a containment? Who knows? David, 99% of communications internet, etc., underwater sea cables. No need for satellites. No, you're absolutely correct. And everything that, all the wireless equipment we have, and even speaking of satellite dishes, I do remember, I thought it was an interesting coincidence, my neighbour's got a dish on their house, and it seems to be pointing at a little red light in the distance. They put lights on high up cell towers. They have to, I believe. And I just thought it was interesting that the satellite, or the parabolic antennae, sorry to give it its correct name, that you see on the edge of people's houses, which were called as satellite dishes, they're all pointing to they're not pointing up into space, as it were, they're all pointing to the horizon. I remember someone actually telling me, a sky engineer I mentioned in the film, in the video we just watched, and he claimed that the dishes were pointing at the equator. And it's like, well, hang on. If the equator is curved in away from us, then surely the dishes should be pointing downwards. I don't know. It's I wouldn't. And also, as I point out, 28.2 degrees is the direction that sky dishes are supposed to point. But 28.2 degrees from, let's say, Land's End compared to 28.2 degrees in John O'Groats points at a completely different area of the sky. Anyway, so space travel, the moon landings being another one. It is kind of a cliche. It comes up everywhere, the moon landing. It's certainly no secret that people believe it's... a lot of people are sceptical. They are represented, though, as being kind of crazy. If ever you are watching, say, I remember Coronation Street once, I think they were talking, one of their characters was suspicious about the moon landings. And of course, it's like the village idiot that is questioning it. It's all the educated people fully accept it. Should they, though? Is there a case for...
Hi, this is my...
Didn't even put that back on. Is there a case to suggest that what's been reported about the moon landing isn't all it's cracked up to be? Fake Dutch moon rock. This isn't... I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with this story, that a treasured piece at the Dutch National Museum, a supposed moon rock from the first manned lunar landing, is nothing more than petrified wood. I also know people that are suspicious of the existence of petrified wood as well. But anyway, that's another story. It was given to the former Prime Minister of Holland in 1969, and when they had it valued, they had to have tests done to prove it was the genuine article, and it turned out that it was a piece of petrified wood. And this was something supposedly given to the Prime Minister by the astronauts himself. Why is that relevant? I mean, this is a story from 2009. It's 13 years old, this story, nearly. But it's come up again. NASA is opening a 50-year-old sample of moon rock. What are they going to find this time? Of course, if it's NASA doing it, then I expect we'll hear that it was all legitimate and nothing like petrified wood. Although I do have another suspicion. What's that word they use? Full disclosure? Is a full, will a full disclosure at some point come about the moon landings? Once all the people that were involved in it have died, if they ever existed in the first place, but once anyone accountable for it has passed on, once anyone alive who would even have a memory of it, I know there's still a lot of people around now that remember the moon landings, but once they all kind of, unfortunately we all have to meet our maker at some point, and once they've all gone on, will it come about that they will admit that the moon landing never happened? The space agency hopes samples will allow researchers to learn more about the moon and help with preparations to send people back to its surface. I mean, this has got to be the biggest giveaway that it's never happened, is they're now claiming they can't even do it, even if they wanted to. As they say, 7 times back in 1969 they went to the moon, supposedly. Not possible now. Now they're saying it's not going to happen any earlier than 2025. This date keeps getting pushed back more and more. Oh, this will also see the first woman and first person of colour land on the moon no earlier than... That means that... Let's suppose this was true, okay? And they were genuinely sending people to the moon. And the best people to go were men. And the best people that scored highest in their tests, whatever they do, however they decide the people that are going, happen to be 2 or 3 white men. Well, no, they're not going to get their spot because the first person of colour and the first woman has to land on the moon. Yeah, but look how long it's actually going to take them to unwrap this thing. It's crazy. Let's hope that understanding how moon rock was collected in earlier missions, it will make it easier for the next team of astronauts who will visit the surface. Well, fortunately, they show us pictures. The moon samples, which is being opened at Johnson Space Center, was collected by the Apollo 17 astronaut Jack Schmitt in 1972. 14-inch 14-inch tubes, and they were sealed in a vacuum before being transported back to Earth. Is that the vacuum of space? Is that what they're telling us? It's been stored away from atmosphere-controlled environment at the Space Center ever since. Of course it has, I believe that. Another sample collected which wasn't vacuum sealed was opened in 2019. Scientists were able to see and study a mix of grains and smaller bits of rock known as rocklets. Let's see, can we open this picture? Let's see. I'm curious. Obviously, all these big boulders and rocks, dust, for example. This is supposedly in one of the craters on the moon. It makes me wonder, because surely rocks are caused by water. They're shaped by oceans and, well, I think there's various different things, but I think air and water are required for the formation of rocks. Dust, you require, human beings to shed skin and hair. You wouldn't have any dust or rocks or gravel on, in my opinion, on the moon. I think that's ridiculous. Unless you've got all the same things Earth that we have here on Earth, such as water and air. Anyway, right. How long is it going to take them to open this this thing. On the 11th of February, the team began carefully removing the samples. The next stage began more than a week later when the scientists began piercing the inner container. These will carefully be extracted and studied further. After the process of removing the gas is complete, apparently they're going to take the gas out, the team will gently remove the soil and rock from their container. This is likely to take place in the spring. My goodness. Yeah, I wonder if that turns out to be petrified wood. Right, Examine 1, greetings, welcome to the live chat, good to see you. I'll catch up with your comments. Maria, moon rocks have already been proved to be fake, yep, as we looked at a minute ago. David, I had Sky over 25 years ago and just believed I was receiving it from a satellite, so pleased I woke up. Same here, yeah, I had Sky back in the late 90s, and likewise, well, one of the big things they said was from the sky, and then they would say after a second pause, satellite receiving network or something. But they were clearly trying to get us, plenty of imagery showing satellites beaming signals to us, but personally I doubt that's how they really work. Examine 1. God tells us the sun and the moon are inside the same firmament that our birds fly and is the air we breathe. And Genesis 1 tells us there is a layer of water above us. God knows what he created. And read Genesis chapter 1 in the Bible carefully and very slowly. Completely agree with you. The very first, I think it's the second verse of the first chapter, pretty specifically tells you that if you want to accept the word of the Bible, you have to completely throw away any belief or any trust you would ever put in the governments to tell you anything about creation. Yeah, completely agree with you. We will pull it up, in fact. Exodus chapter 1, no, not Exodus, Genesis, sorry. Genesis chapter 1. And I think right in the second verse, let's see. Yeah, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. This all comes clearly before the days of creation, where I think it was like the third or fourth day before the sun and moon were put into the, as Examine 1 says, were put into under what they call in some Bibles they now call it the expanse. But yeah, firmament is a pretty accurate description of what supposedly separates the water, but none of this can be accepted. I can't see how any of this can be believed if you accept the words of NASA. Let's see, let's just do a random search. How was Earth created? Let's see what Wikipedia tell us. Earth formed around 4.54 billion years ago, approximately 1/3 the age of the universe, by accretion from the solar nebula. Volcanic outgases probably created primordial atmosphere and then the ocean, but the early atmosphere contained almost no oxygen. If you compare it to the age of the sun and moon, I mean, all this stuff is complete trash, really. None of it has any proof to it. 4.54 billion years couldn't be scientifically verified. It's all it's all most popular guesses. What is the history of the Earth? I'm pretty sure it would have to come after the creation of the moon. People that believe this as genuine basically just want I think they don't want any excuse to kind of think for themselves. They want everything explained to them, right down to what's in the center of a light we see in the sky. Supposedly, well, let's take the sun, 96 million miles away. What makes up the sun? No way we could ever know that. But if you believe this, if you believe Wikipedia, then we've got it all sorted out. Of course, all stories, all fairy tales. Oops, I've kept up something on the thing. My apologies. Didn't mean to have that overlay on there. What have you missed? The first chapter of Genesis. And yeah, looking at the history of the Earth, it is pretty much, I mean, to ever get any of this story changed will have to come from government-controlled universities, government-controlled research centres. They're the only people that would ever be allowed to change any of this story. But your life is much better, much more cheerful if you accept it for the lies it is. So yeah, thank you for that comment, Examine 1. David, if they had said alien invasion rather than Ukraine war, I might have taken it more seriously. You'd be more likely to believe in an alien invasion. Yeah. In a way, I can see Bullspit 19 as almost equivalent to an alien invasion. They made us believe there was this unknown disease flying around everyone. Almost, what's that film where it takes over people's spirits and bodies? It's come up in a lot, but Aliens are one I first think of, where where they're attacked by the alien species and it goes inside it and feeds off of it. Oh. Well, I can see an equivalent with the idea of a virus living on surfaces. It's not a million miles away from the idea that aliens have invaded. All equally plausible. Right, what other ridiculous stories are they telling us? I've just got to wait for a spinning ball a minute in the screen. Oops, I never tried to print that. Space. World's first space-based entertainment studio and sports arena to launch in 2024. Apparently they're going to be playing sport in outer space in 3 years' time. You'd have to be insane to believe that. Films, music, and even sport events could all soon take place, could be produced 250 miles above Earth in the world's first production studio and sports arena to be based in space. The module with content and entertainment studios is due to be launched in 2024. These sorts of things, they always change the dates. Richard Branson, for example, has been talking for as far back as I remember about his space flights. Even now, I think they might have claimed to have done it, but it's certainly not something just anyone can choose to do. But anyway, now they've sold us the idea that SpaceX, as we see just here, are doing private space travel. It's nothing of the sort. I mean, then ISS astronauts take part in Space Olympics. What a joke. This is by the way, this is from the website Newsround, which is a children's BBC website. It's feeding all of this stuff to young, impressionable minds. And if you look at the comments, they're absolutely insane. Sorry, looks like you're not the right age to use this here, so I'm too old to post. How they know that without me even logging in, I don't know. But there are all these ridiculous comments like, wow, that's amazing, that's fantastic. Another rocket blasting into space. I love space because it's amazing and I love to go to space. Hope you can go to Space Newsround. How ridiculous. Kids don't leave comments like that on these websites. complete load. From a very early age, they put this idea into your head that, right from, I remember the kids program Button Moon, I don't know if you remember that one, and the search starts for astronauts of the future. Imagine having that ambition. We've seen some pretty big missions. There we go. Richard Branson's Virgin Galactic, and Jeff Bezos, who owns PayPal, the very same people that very conveniently put money in my account just before asking me to donate money to the Ukraine. The Dear Moon project, we'll see the Japanese billionaire. Oh, there's another one coming soon as well. They'll take 8 people into space on an epic 6-day tour. Could take place as early as 2023. I bet it doesn't. And a company called Sports Perspective is offering a 6-hour-long flight in a pressurised capsules for £90,000. Yeah, just pay your deposit. Why not? Take my money, please. This is really selling. I'm really sold on this one. Bear in mind, they can't even go back to the moon, alright? Which supposedly they did. What was it? 50 years ago now? Yeah, and here they go teaching about the space race. Sputnik 1 and Sputnik 2. I bet this is CGI, okay? Space travel through the years. Let's see the CGI used in it.
This is the first rocket to reach of space. The German V2 launched.
That thing isn't going to space. Look at it.
On fruit flies. 2 years later, it was the turn of a monkey called Albert. Further animals followed until 1957, when Russia launched.
I was sure it was an Alsatian they sent into space. I didn't think it was a dog. I thought.
First ever satellite to orbit around the Earth. It was called Sputnik 1. What became known as the space race finally began when American and Russian scientists.
This isn't space, by the way. This is those they call it 0G planes where they drop out the sky. None of this has taken place in space.
Were battling it out to get the first spacecraft on the moon. In 1961, the Russians put the first man into space, cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin. Russia were winning the race, so the US President John F. Kennedy made a promise.
This is proper propaganda, by the way. None of this is remotely true. I'm not. As I said, I had to remove some parts of my video the other week due to copyright reasons, so hopefully this won't be the case now. I mean, look at this awful picture, and this is what they base their proof on.
150,000 miles to the moon.
What a terrible picture. But, of course, it's coming from outer space, so it's forgiven.
Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin made history on July the 20th.
Stopgap animation, like you see in... Oh, what was those films at the time? Not Hammer House. About... not Aladdin, I can't even think what it was now, but they were doing stopgap animation... stop animation... And that's a bit exactly what we've got here.
To the moon followed. The Americans even landed a special car to.
Look, how much of a model remote control car is this?
The 20th.
They don't let you watch it for too long, or else you would realise. So they quickly flash it up.
Apollo missions to the moon followed. The Americans even landed a special car to explore its surface. Since then, the fascinating.
Didn't show us much of that car though, did they? Perhaps in case we realise it's just a model.
With space has grown and technology is getting better every day. There have been robots on Mars, a probe's been landed
CGI
on a comet to take photos of distant moons and planets in the far reaches of our galaxy. We've developed space shuttles that have travelled.
Possibly they send up gliders on these rockets, who knows? They're probably like 1/5 scale though.
At 17,000 miles an hour, and built the International Space Station.
Are they going to show us them building the International Space Station?
Orbited our planet for 15 years. And that's where Major Tim Peake is going to carry out experiments to try to inspire children to become astronauts and scientists in the future. when it's hoped people will one day be able to visit other planets like Mars.
All CGI at the end now. Typical rubbish. Anyway, are they finally going to admit they never went? Do you think? Is that possible? Or, alternatively, will they just wait for everyone with a living memory of the moon landing to pass on, and then they'll just do the same thing all over again? Could it be that all these events have taken place in the past? Who knows how far back? But they could easily just stop talking about this moon landing and do it all again in 50 years. This person, by the way, I don't know if you ever saw them. I'll do a quick close-up of them. Looks like they're walking on stilts, if ever you see them. Looks very suspicious to me. We'll try and play a video in a minute of them. Yeah, if you watch them walking, they've got some kind of brace on their foot. They're supposed to be an elderly person. But I would predict, actually, that this person's feet probably come up to here. That is how tall they are. All this below is stilts, in my opinion. Right, yeah, what they call Wally something or other. I think she was supposedly the first woman in space, and she was like, I don't know, a 90-year-old former NASA personnel. Look, delayed once again. They've delayed the moon missions. What a surprise. It'll be the first mission since 1972. And they now claim that they have to learn how to do it all over again. Yeah, of course you do. It's like saying that journeying to 100 miles in a car, they used to do it 60 years ago, but we've lost the ability to do it now. Madness. Sailing a ship, for example. Yeah, we used to be able to sail from, I don't know, Ireland to the United States of America, but we've lost the ability now. We have to learn it all over again. Right, Hydro Hose. Greetings, good to see you in the live chat. Thanks for joining us. Love your picture of E.T. David, a lot of people actually believe Elon Musk has a car floating in space. Yeah, you're absolutely correct. Maria Ellender, Richard Branson's face betrays his demonic spirit. And Susan says he's a puppet at the NWO and a pedo. Well, do you know who? I can't ever look at Richard Branson without seeing. I've probably covered this hundreds of times. Richard Branson meets, what's that guy's name? Not Alex Jones, I can't even think of it. David Icke, that's it. They never actually, yeah, I don't, of course, David Icke has made lots of videos where he has been very critical of Richard Branson. It's one of those things that, yeah, is almost too crazy, but I buy it, man. Some people are also crazy, actually, comparing, what's this guy's name, and Jimmy Savile. Not the Happy Mondays, I can't think of this guy's name now. The Boomtown Rats, musician. Just give them the money now. Used to make a lot of money for Band-Aid, charity, of course. Right. Okay, yeah, so that's my opinion on tonight's title. Will they expose the moon landings? I think it's possible once anyone that has any once anyone who could still be kind of prosecuted or blamed is still with us for faking the moon landing, then yeah, once they've all passed on, I think they could come out and admit it. Right, okay. We are gonna start winding down shortly. Elon Musk, another Bob Geldof. Thank you, Susan Byrne. Yeah, that name completely slipped my mind. Apparently, looks like Jimmy Savile. David, if there was such a thing as a time machine, I would love to go to 100 years in the future and see if they're still brainwashing people with the moon landings. Yeah, but as I said, I think they would just retell it. They would retell the story. Things have moved so slowly in the space race that I personally think they're waiting for people to forget all about it. And of course, it is the mainstream media that chooses what people focus on. If BBC and whatnot didn't all cover space exploration, no one would know about it or care about it. So yeah, I think they would still be using that in 100 years' time. Makes you wonder what will be the situation in 100 years' time. Will any of us be around to really see it? Let's hope so, but who knows? Yeah, the second coming may have come back within 100 years, in which case all this evilness will be overthrown. Okay, yeah, I am going to start winding down in a minute. Hydra Ho says, what happened with the Space Force? That was something that that was the US President Donald Trump's suggestion. US Space Force. I'm sure they have diverted money, taxpayers' money, and are now paying it to the towards these ridiculous companies. It's the 8th US informed service and the world's only independent space force. What does that mean? Commander-in-Chief Joe Biden. Well, that's very independent, isn't it? Independent of the government when they've got the president as their commander. Part of the United States Armed Forces. I guess if they say it's independent, that means it's then allowed to make a profit, perhaps. Right. And of course, last thing on the subject, as we mentioned, Elon Musk and his supposed space, his car in outer space. Elon Musk, he made a famous quote on that one. Maybe I have to. Maybe they censor it. You can tell it's real. Here we go. Here's what Elon Musk said about his own car in space. Again, I think entrepreneurs like Elon Musk and Richard Branson are probably not the most legitimate people you'll ever see. Oh. Just waiting for it to play, bear with us.
Just watching our mate Elon Musk here yabber on about putting a Tesla Roadster into space. Oh, what a joke. Here's what he had.
Well, I think it looks so ridiculous and impossible.
That's because it is your flog.
And
You can tell it's real because it looks so fake, honestly.
It is fake, dickhead.
There you go. What a quote. But of course, people will somehow twist their mind into believing that what he says is referring to how good special effects are nowadays. It doesn't look like special effects. Well, it does. Therefore, you can tell it's real. Crazy. Madness. And when you hear half the stuff that these people have come out with on the International Space Station, one last thing. He was called Chris Cassidy. ISS, if you see, I'm not sure how many videos he did. It's a pretty easy one where he's talking with a woman and he makes this ridiculous statement about the... Hang on, let me find it. Yeah, he makes this crazy statement about how they're based in one part of America right now. Chris Cassidy on the ISS. Perhaps he's done more than one mission. Apparently, he also had an incident where water got into his helmet. This is it. This is the one. NASA. This is from the channel Mega Lega 2013. NASA TV astronaut reveals ISS-based Earth-based location. I hope you can hear this.
What was high school like for you?
Well, it was the 1980s.
I think he was just asked by someone on Earth. Bear in mind, there's supposed to be an 11-second delay. He just grabbed that microphone straight away.
The music was different. The hairstyle was different. The clothes we wore were different than today. But probably in 5 or 10 years, it'll be the same.
Just dropping a hint there about how things just basically go round in circles.
And in school, I was just like you. Probably all of you there.
Is that a number 33 he's got on his top? Or 36 rather?
All of that happened in a little town called York, Maine, across the United States from where we're talking to you right now.
There we go. It doesn't get much clearer than that. Across the United States from where we're talking to you right now.
York, Maine, across the...
They're supposedly flying around outer space at something like 17,000 miles an hour, probably covering the distance of America in a matter of minutes. So he doesn't know where they're based, but...
United States from where we're talking to you right now.
Across the United States from where we're talking to you right now.
There we go. Good video. Mega Lega, in fact. I will share a link to this one. I'll put it in the live chat right now. And yeah, this is pretty much where we are going to wrap up for the night, as it is getting very close to midnight. As I said, I do plan to upload the satellite video that I made to BitChute. The link to that is in the description. Right. If I put Chris Cassidy video. Ooh. Okay. Right, I'll have a quick look at the live chat before I go down. I forgot to put my warning across the bottom of the screen that any copyright protected material used in this video is for the purposes of review and education, in line with fair use copyright laws. Right, have a quick look at the live chat before I finish for the night. And I will, once again, request that you guys could take the time to thumb up this video. And if you're not already subscribed to the channel, hit the subscribe. And if you could possibly give us a share, that would be great. There we go. And yeah, I'll say a big thanks to my one and only patron, Linda Mack, for supporting the channel. If you want to make a pledge of your choice, a monthly pledge to supporting Bobby Zines and Chronicles of the Unconvinced, you can go to patreon.com/bzines or just scan the QR code. I will try and come back with an upload in the week, but sometimes, if I'm not back before, I will be back next Sunday. I would like to say a big thank you to Susan Byrne, Maria Ellender, David, Hydra Hose, Examine One, David, Phil Wright, Robbo Max. I've said Susan Byrne, haven't I? I think I've mentioned everyone. If I haven't, if there's anyone... Oh, O'Brick, greetings, hope you're still with us. RJ. Haven't seen Mudluck digging at the Thames tonight, but I know she normally lets... they normally let me know whether they have been around. Okay. Night or Maria, thanks for joining us tonight. Thanks, David and Susan, who say they are on their way. I'll just have a quick look at the live chat. Maria said they've killed off the public libraries, and next they want to kill off the human libraries. Every death of an elderly person is a death of ancient knowledge. Maria, you're absolutely correct. That's very true. David, the logo Star Trek. Yeah, of course it is. Okay, right, yeah, once again, big thanks to everyone who has joined in tonight. Hope you have a good week. And, oh, what am I doing? Wrong one. Okay, right, have a good week, everyone, and I'll be back again soon. And yeah, massive thanks. Cheerio. Oh, nothing. Yeah, no video to play out tonight with. Although we could play out with. I've still got JT33's music video lined up. World War III. I'm sure he wouldn't mind us playing this one. Let me just bring this down here. All right. Night, everyone. Take care.
It is day 2 of a war that until just yesterday was for many unimaginable. And the scenes that the hours since the Russian invasion of Ukraine began have left us bring to mind times that Europe hoped to have long left behind.
Look at the world that we're living in. It's like a state of insanity. Words, sorcery, pulling a veil over the eyes of humanity. You know that it's tyranny, I know that you're hearing me. Look at the damage that's dealt, and on the inside, what have you felt? Abused like a child, you hide from the sting of the belt. Why can't we save ourselves from the carnage created? I need you to see that their plan is unraveling free. Brace yourselves for the ending and the start of World War III.
Turned into bomb shelters, civilians arming themselves to defend their country in heavy shelling in Kiev and across Ukraine. The facts on the ground and the measures taken to contain them are moving fast, and tonight we'll take you through what we know and try to make sense of a series of events that has left Europeans stunned and in shock.
They're really gonna hit us with a shock and awe to keep the people begging for the order of law. Where is the line that we draw? When Putin's got his foot up on the neck of the Ukraine, the whole world's going crazy and the feeling is insane. Where does the real story end and the propaganda begin for the sheep? They're making them bleed, we're making them see. Brace yourselves for the ending and the start of World War III.